I wouldn't call the music industry at all a Ponzi scheme, but let's be very clear. If you're a new artist, you're going to be in a very trashy deal. Like, there's no new artist that gets in with a great deal, right? You get a limited amount of money, and these are going to be the splits. Like, it's almost like there's a template for first artist deal.
I don't think there's such a thing as a bad or good deal. Like, honestly, I don't think so in the music industry because.
Why not?
Because the reality of the music industry, that it's so hard to know who is going to ultimately be profitable.
Okay, so you're saying
that the majority of new acts that any label picks. Listen, QC had a bunch of artists that they lost a ton of money on. QC ain't perfect. As much as, people say, oh, it's the best label. There's a bunch of artists, I'm not going to name them because I've interviewed some of them, that were on QC and it didn't work out.
No, of course.
Right? I'm not talking about Mariah Carey signing another deal to do another Christmas album. Yeah, that's going to do well. Like, yeah, you could give her $20 million for that shit. But what I'm saying is a brand new rapper that no one's heard of, that the label signs, chances are they're going to lose everything that they invest in that person.
Well, all right. And I agree with you, right?
Right.
So obviously you got to mitigate some risk, right?
And for every artist that they lose money on, there is no recouping from that person. They're not going to say, okay, listen, we put $100,000 in you, you made nothing. We expect you to pay back that $100,000. It doesn't work that way.
All right, but so let's break down the reality though, right?
Okay.
So you're right. So the reason why some of these deals that I'm calling quote unquote bad, if you gave all these people like these deals that you would normally give to a superstar, you're going to lose even more money. And really,
the label will go out of business. Guaranteed.
One in 10 artists are really going to succeed. So
exactly.
But here's the thing, though. The reason why I say, obviously people who have good attorneys, they figure this out. If you sign a deal, right, and you're only guaranteed, even after you recoup, right, you're guaranteed 18 cents on the dollar, right? It's a royalty deal, right? You might have given, who knows if you really signed some, and this is where I say shitty, too. What Diddy was doing, allegedly, right? Because he's claimed he's never robbed no one, but I think this was kind of prevalent back then. The publishing, a lot of times, they would give you some money, we'll give you some extra money, and we own your publishing. Now, people don't even understand what publishing is. I still don't even think people understand what publishing is.
Yeah.
But you're really selling it's you giving up your publishing is like you giving up the chance of you possibly eating off your product long after it's out.
Right. But if you aren't one of the 9 out of 10 artists that flop, that extra money they use to buy our publishing is useless. They've now wasted more money. Now Biggie, I remember there was an interview where he said he sold a chunk of his publishing to Puffy. That's before his album came out. He was broke. There was no show money. No one knew who he was. He went to Puffy. He's like, yo, man, I need more money. And Puff's like, well, the only thing I could do is buy a part of your publishing. Here's like 50 grand or 100 grand. And it was like, cool. He said, yeah, in retrospect, I shouldn't have done it, but hey, we made the deal. Yo, Biggie was like, yo, we made the deal. I signed. I took the money. It is what it is.
Back then, it was also becoming the status quo for like a lot of new artists. They would try to jerk you on the publishing. And when I mean jerk you on the publishing, it's just that, number one, like when people think about publishing, that's usually long-term money. Without the education, if you sign, like, again, it's an age-old question. Do you rather $1 million now or if I give you $1,000 every week? Right?
Now, everyone wants $1 million now. Right.
Well, no. Well, if you understand how that will play out in, I don't know, say 8 years, maybe your answer will be different. But if, you don't have any information, you come in straight from the streets, no one has ever really put you on game, you get a lawyer that happens to be assigned by the label. The label gave you one of their sub-lawyers, which is only going to tell you, like...
Shit happens. But you know something? At some point, that deal will be over, and you could then sign a much bigger deal.
Or, and you tell me what you think about it, I think this is why you see the think about this. People think that Kendrick was just on some spiritual, like, fucking awakening. That's why he ain't jobbing 5 years. No, he's getting his shit right. That's what happens.
He's getting his shit right.
The only leverage you have as an artist... That's why, we as consumers, we just look at are you hot or are you not? But the only leverage an artist has is to not drop. That's the only way you could perhaps twist the arm. Because, for example, if I signed you the deal, and granted, I gave you the standard, new artist deal, you're now making me so much fucking money. but you have to give me four other albums.
Right.
In reality, and we see this happen in the NBA.
If I blow up. But along the way, when you say live off shit forever, if you have a serious label, and let's just say you had one really big song, and yeah, the deal you signed, they got the publishing, they're making most of the money, you could tour off that song forever. You could, you know what I mean? There's groups who had hit songs in the 80s, you know, like Rob Bass, It Takes Two, you know, or Coolio was still doing shows off Gangster Paradise, rest in peace. The label don't get none of that shit. Like, you could still make money forever, and if that label wasn't there to get that song to become a national hit,
Vlad, I feel like you're giving the label like,
I'm getting tired of this. I'm getting tired of this. It's the label's fault. They're ripping everyone off. Like it's
because
not that simple.
there's an inherent idea of taking advantage of the artist.
I don't think so.
Okay, think about the older artists, right? Think about the older artists who got to come to the internet saying, hey, we don't make no streaming money off of this because when we signed the deal, streaming didn't exist. Okay. But the labels ain't about to give you no fair deal now. They already own your shit.
Well, but also there's a law that said that because of, you know, the somewhat unfair negotiation between, you know, artists and labels and so forth, after 25 years, you get like all your publishing back. So you can actually go and get that. So there are laws to protect you along the way. I'm just saying, man.
The point is you're entitled to your publishing, and if they bring, it's like bringing somebody in the interrogation room and be like, yo, just sign this plea, whatever, without really giving them the full knowledge of understanding what they're facing and what they could really go through. And again, that happens a lot, especially to Black and brown people. And all I'm just saying is that for the older artists who have gone through it, and this is why I said Broken Dusty, for the older artists who have gone through it, rather than sit on soapboxes and criticize the new artists, y'all are all coming from the same place. There's only a few rappers who were rich before this shit and come in this shit and be like, oh, okay,